Hello, welcome to day 25 of 100 Days of Abundance. So, today I want to talk to you about forgiving yourself for bad money decisions that you may have made in the past. So, let me ask you as we open this session up, are you holding on to any negative emotions, any fears, any regrets around anything you've ever done in the past around money? I had a ton of these, and every now and then a new variation comes up and I need to clear it when it does come up, because the thing is, these old resentments, these old feelings of guilt, maybe there's even shame mixed in there potentially, they are all money blocks. And if we want money to flow easily into our lives, into our business again, then releasing any blocks that you have, any ways in which you feel resentment, guilt, shame, any feelings of, I wish that didn't happen, any of that comes up, it needs to be forgiven, it needs to be released. So let's talk a little bit more about why this isn't so important and what you can do about it. Okay, so when we're holding on to this negative emotion, it's really pulling our vibration down. If you've got old thoughts, past focused thoughts that are really pulling you back into the past, you might be thinking things like, I wish I didn't spend my money on that. I can't believe that money's gone. Maybe you feel like you're a victim of something. I mean, I had an incident that happened to me like that where my purse got stolen, but I felt really stupid for leaving my bag in a place where, I wasn't paying attention completely. So that's one that I've cleared, for example. So maybe there's like some way that you feel that you've been victimized by someone. Perhaps someone sold you something that actually you don't feel you got the value from. Perhaps you even feel ripped off. That might be some of the kind of chatter that's going through your mind. And so it's really important that we start to recognize where we've got this money chatter going on, because it's a form of scarcity mindset, really, when you think about it. Because let's take the example of when my bag got stolen, and I felt really stupid for leaving it in a place. And then I also felt like that was so unfair. I felt a lot of injustice around that and a lot of resentment around that. And I held on to that for a long time. And when we take that example, it's almost like I was thinking on a subconscious level that money was gone, that there was a big hole in my bank account. There was a hole in my financial life, and it was never coming back. And you know what's really interesting is that I held on to that hurt, that injustice, and that anger and resentment for a long time. And I'm trying to think now how many occasions this repeating pattern came up. It's definitely come up twice. I was a lot younger at this time, but there was a time when I had a house party when I think I was like 19 or 20, and someone came over and they found some valuables and they stole them, and it was worth what felt like a lot of money at that time. I was a lot younger and I felt really stupid around that. And so again, it was almost like that same pattern. And so when you're thinking like in this scarcity mindset, like it's gone forever, I can never replace that, you're not really recognizing the true abundance that the universe offers. The fact that money is energy, the fact that we can change our vibration and allow that flow to come in much more easily. When we start to change our relationship around money, when we start to raise our vibration, when we start to change our mindset around money, when we have better feelings towards money, we become a better steward to money. When we respect and love money, it starts to love us back. It starts to support us back. So when we've got these feelings of resentment, guilt, shame, and injustice, like I said, with those money memories for me, that's really bringing that vibration down. It's a very low vibrational state, and it's not an abundance mindset state. So we definitely want to clear any of those things that come up for you. So what money memories do you have where you've made a bad financial decision, something that you've labeled as bad? I want you to bring some to mind right now, and you might want to make a note of them. If you're watching and you've got a bit of paper, if you've got your journal, maybe you've got your phone handy, just jot down a few notes around the things that are popping up in your mind right now, because whatever's coming up right now, they're probably the things that you want to do some work around. So when we have this list of things that you're holding on to some negative emotions around, you can start to do some forgiveness work around it. You can start to release and open that up a little bit more so that that emotion that you're holding on to, that stagnant emotional energy, can start to be released, and that block can start to be broken up a little bit more. Now, sometimes people can get quite triggered around forgiveness. And I tell you what, especially the person who came over to my party and stole some valuables that night, you know, I held on to a lot of negative emotion around that, and I had some very, very negative thoughts about that person for a long time. I kind of held a grudge, but I also held a grudge against myself as well, because I felt stupid on both occasions. Like, oh my God, I shouldn't have left that, shouldn't have been in the house, shouldn't have been around there, and that's not helpful. That is really, really not helpful. But if forgiveness as a word is triggering for you, I want you to consider the perspective that forgiveness is actually forgiving yourself for your part in the creation of this, in terms of our world is a projection of our own thoughts, our own feeling, our own perspectives, right? And there is an element of responsibility that we can take for our part in the creation and the things that we see in our lives. And when we take that responsibility within ourselves, we are actually able to start working on that and start to forgive ourselves for holding on to this negative vibration. Because when we hold on to this negative vibration, we tend to see these recurring patterns come up. And as I mentioned, I can think of at least 2 occasions. Do you know what? Actually, no, I've just thought of a third. There was a third thing stolen from me, definitely. So, in between like the ages of kind of 10 and 22, I can definitely remember 3 occasions where I had big things stolen from me. And I felt very, very upset and resentful around that. So when I've done this work before, I literally did forgiveness work around it. And yeah, I think I didn't understand forgiveness as much at that point in time. So I was, putting myself in their shoes and thinking, oh gosh, like what kind of place would you have to be in your life to be stealing things like that from other people? Like one of the occasions was my car. I got my car stolen at one point. What place in your life must you have to be at in order to steal like that from someone? And so I had some compassion come in, and then I could start the forgiveness process in terms of my feelings towards them. But what I now recognize, now that I understand forgiveness so much more, is that actually I was also really forgiving myself for holding on to this for so long, the resentment that I was holding on to, because really it's almost like you're drinking your own poison when you're holding on to these things for such a long time. Like, it might seem like it's a very productive emotional state to be in, to be holding that, very powerful emotion against someone else, as if, actually, well, it serves them right. They deserve that. I'm not going to forgive them. But actually, the only person it's affecting is you, because you're feeling a negative emotional state. You're probably experiencing stress from that. Your vibration is lowered. Your moods are lowered. It's not a nice place to be in. And most of the time, you're the one that's going to be feeling the effect of that, not them. They're off doing whatever they want to do, right? So we can really bring in forgiveness to recognize the part that we've played in terms of hanging on to these emotions, seeing if we can break them down a little bit, forgiving ourselves for that. And we don't have to do a huge amount around this in terms of like, asking why and why did this happen? Why am I holding on to these emotions? Unless, of course, you feel like maybe, therapy might be a good place to go with some of these memories, because sometimes there are situations where we need to explore the past and come to a better understanding so that we can let them go. But what I'm really talking about here is, when you're holding on to some of these emotions and you're ready to move on from them, you're ready to move into a different place in your life with them, and you recognize that it's not serving you anymore, holding on to these. And the thing that I really love to do with a forgiveness list, well, there's 2 things actually, but I'm only going to be talking you through one of them today. So I love to do tapping. We do a lot of tapping here every Tuesday in this community. In the Facebook community, we do a tapping. So if you're interested in tapping, you want to know more about it, come along. And I'm sure at some point we're going to do one around forgiveness, so you can apply that future tapping to this work. And the other thing that I love to do is Ho'oponopono. So that's an ancient Hawaiian technique that I haven't had formal training in. I learnt about Ho'oponopono through a coaching program that I was in. And I think, it's really worth reading, about what the ancient kind of masters from Hawaii really taught and practiced, and how it was very much a culture there of using Ho'oponopono to release and forgive and clear any emotions that they were holding on to. It's such a simple practice, and at least I have read a book about it, and this book actually went a little bit deeper than what I'm talking about today, but I've actually found the technique that I learned from a coaching program is the Ho'oponopono prayer. And that's so easy to do. But I also love the more in-depth version I had in this book. And if anyone's curious about that book, I can find out the name of it. It was a really good little read, actually, someone who had been trained by a Hawaiian master to actually, bring it to more people in the world. And he goes a little bit deeper with his Ho'oponopono work. But the really simple prayer that I do when I've got this forgiveness list and I've got more conscious awareness, and it's out on paper, it's out in the physical world, and I'm looking at it going, right, these are the things that are holding me back. These are the things that I'm holding a lot of negative energy around. I want to do some forgiveness around it. And it's really, really simple. I just say to myself in my mind, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Now, I've also done another coaching program where they did the words in a slightly different order. I don't know if there's anything significant to that. I don't know if there's a different action to that. Maybe one's more powerful than the other. I think the other one that I've seen is I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. So it's a slightly different version. I've got the first version in my head because that's what's being wired into my brain. And so I'll often find that even if something happens on a day-to-day basis, quite often I'll think to do that Ho'oponopono kind of mantra in my mind at that point in time, just to release that negative emotion. If someone really annoys me, if I get frustrated with someone, it's a nice thing to do in the moment. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Just to clear that from my own energy. That's really what this is about. This is clearing all of these negative emotions from your energy field so that you can get into a higher vibrational place, so that you can start to reframe and repattern, exactly how you're remembering these memories. Because when you don't attach resentment, attach guilt, attach shame, those negative emotions to these memories, then you get into a much higher vibrational place. And it's almost like these memories become, faded, almost like faded photos in your mind that just don't have the emotional charge. When I was doing my tapping course, one of the tutors used to talk about memories being a little bit like an archiving unit in the basement. So you can imagine if you've got an archiving unit and there's loads of files down there, and you take one of the files out, i.e. a memory from your subconscious mind, you look at it, and then there's all this emotional charge around it. There's current emotions from an old event that's like an archived file in your mind. And what we want to do with that is really come to a neutral place, so that it's a little bit like, if you keep going with this analogy, you go to your file storage, you go to your archiving unit, you take out the file, you look at it, and then the resentment, the guilt, and the anger doesn't come up. You don't have current now emotions about this old thing that happened before. So that is what I wanted to share with you today, all about forgiving yourself for bad money decisions. I hope that's been helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Did you do this exercise? What came up for you? Let me know. Let's have a chat about bad money decisions and all of the things that you're clearing, so that you can start to bring some wonderful new money into your life, some new wonderful decisions that you can make with money, because you've learned so many lessons, right, from everything that's happened before, and things can just get better from here. Okay, this is the final 100 days of manifestation for now. I'm putting it on pause for a couple of weeks because I'm doing a 5-day festival that starts, well, if you're keeping up with this currently, so this is Sunday, the 26th of February. So it starts on Monday, the 27th of February. We've got a 5-day festival. It's a masterclass all about receiving more money, receiving more abundance. So clearing any resistance, clearing any blocks, and allowing you to raise your money ceiling. So it's a 5-day event. It's free in the Facebook group. If you're already in there, come along, join us. I'm going to be going live at about 2 o'clock UK time every day. And we're going to be talking about a different aspect of receiving money every single day so that you can start to clear some of those blocks and get to the next level with your income goals. So I'm really looking forward to that. If you're catching this on the podcast or if you're catching it on YouTube, then why don't you come over to Facebook and find the group? So if you search for Manifesting More Money and Magic with Kerry Williams, click to join the group, and we'll be going live in there every single day. The live streams will be available for a week. They'll be available until the Sunday, and then I will be taking them down because they're going to be becoming bonuses as part of the School of Manifestation program. So they won't be staying in the Facebook group, but you have access to them for the whole week. So come and join when you can, catch up when you can. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. Have a lovely rest of the day, and we'll speak soon. Bye.